Hello, I'm Mr. Burke. Welcome back. Today we're going to look at the A-level Pearson Edexcel exam, particularly question 7. Now, question 7 every year tends to be a technical drawing question, and I love a bit of technical drawing, so let's have a look at them. So this is 2022's exam and 2023's exam, and as you can see, question 7 both came up technical drawing questions. Now, these are just opposite to each other. One of them, you're given an isometric view, and you're asked to create a 3-point per a third angle, I should say, a third angle orthographic projection. Another one, you're given a third angle projection, and you're asked to give an isometric. So we're going to do them kind of in tandem together. But let's start with our isometric one first. So in this paper, as I said, question 7, this is a 2023 Pearson Edexcel A-level exam. You'll find this isometric projection of a component. Designers use a range of tools, yada, yada, yada. Draw a third angle projection of the component. Use the grid at a scale of 1 square equals 1 centimeter. You should start at the lines of A, B, which are shown from above. So you must include sufficient dimensions afterwards. So you're given a grid paper and you're giving a starting point of A and B, and that is what we're given. So we're going to have a look at doing that, and then we'll look at the other one in a second. So let's start with this. So we know AB. Now, you should be doing this in a pencil, obviously. I'm doing it in a marker just so you can see it on the video. But we're given that there, A, B, for both of these here. Okay, so we're going to start with that is AB there. And we're going to have this front elevation of this side going up. Then we're going to start with AB here. And we're going to have the end elevation. Okay, so it's just kind of understanding this and drawing out. We are going to have our front elevation looking in here, which is going to be here. And we're going to have our end elevation looking in at that side. Now, this is straightforward one of just how to interpret it first and how it's looking. Essentially, wherever these are is where you're going to start from. So let's start with this. We're going to draw, it is 100 centimeters over, or I should say 10 centimeters, 100 millimeters. So it's going to be 10 boxes. So let's just count that out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, you don't have to use a straight edge or a ruler to do it, but it is a lot better because it will look better. Okay, and it's a bit easier to stay in line. But you're following the grid lines. Okay, so there's that line there. Then we're coming up 4, so up 4 boxes. Again, it should be done in pencil. Then we're going to come over another 4 boxes there. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're just going to leave that for a second now. So we're just at that point there. So we've come over from this point over 10 boxes because 1 centimeter is 1 square. Then we've come up 4. Then we've come back 4. And we have that point there. Let's do this. We're up 20 already. And let's come over 50 from this point here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can see all you have to do to get that angle is just join them up. Okay. There's still one more thing to do on this front elevation here, and it is just this bit of a box. So we know looking at it here, we already see that point and that point are the same because we're looking in. We're not seeing this surface here. We're looking straight along it. So from there, from the bottom, it's up at 60, but we already are up 20. So up just another 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's over 2. Anytime they give these questions, they will give grid paper, or they have in the past anyway, and it's always just using the grid paper. Okay. That is that front elevation there. Okay. Very straightforward. Let's draw the end elevation, which is looking in from this side here. So it is 50 over. We already have our AB line there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. And then it is up, obviously, 2. And there we are going to draw straight away this bit here, which is coming all the way up. Oh, I should not have done that line dark, but alas. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is why we should be drawing in pencil, and then just line in what we want at the end with still a pencil, but just a light construction line. Because I shouldn't actually see this line so dark, because I'll see it just as an L, but alas, we will suffice with it. And then we'll come up here. Again, when we look across it, we don't see this surface here, the one that has the 50 or the 5 written on it. We'll only see it as a flat line, which we already have, and then we just see this. So we won't actually notice the slope. We will just see it like that. Now, there is one extra little bit here in this. It is the hidden detail. So we can't see this line, but we know it's there. This line back here is there if you look straight through it, but we can't actually see it. So we see it as hidden detail, which is just dot, 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 or dash, 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 dash. Okay, so that's our hidden detail line. Right, we just need to do our plan now, which is looking straight down on top of it, looking down in this angle here, straight down on top. And we're going to draw it in relation to everything. So you can see there's actually 3 boxes here. It's nice to do a break of 3 boxes for the plan as well. So if we start there, we already know the width of it because we already have that. So the size here and the size there does not change just because it's looking in a different angle. It's still the same size. And we know the thickness of it, which is 5. So I can count out 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can actually use a bounce line because I've done the same amount of angles or the same amount of squares. I'll show you what a bounce line is now in a second. Now again, this is A level, so you should be fully aware of how to draw in a third angle projection. A bounce line is essentially from, if we come up where that comes over and where that comes over, where that meets, that as a 45-degree line, which will be just connecting through those other points. That will be a bounce line. You don't have to do a bounce line, but you can. So every line that comes over will hit that and will bounce down. So you see you're getting that measurement coming up, hitting and bouncing over. Same with this one. It comes up, it hits, it bounces, it comes over. This one would come up, hit, and bounce over. But we already know it's 2 boxes there. So we don't really need to do a bounce line in this, but it's just good practice in general of technical drawing when you're doing orthographic projection to do bounce lines, because it just makes, sometimes can really make things a lot easier. So that is that there. As we look down on top of it, we just see it as a square. This one we will just see as a rectangle, and there's the line of it there. Okay, so see the way it's just that point. And this slope, as we look down it, we'll just see it as a rectangle. Okay, and it's going to be a rectangle of 1 square. So you see it there? That's the slope. We're looking across it, so we don't see it as anything else. And that is that drawing. Now, it's asking us to do dimensions, which I'm going to come back to in a minute, okay? So again, remember, I accidentally did that line all the way over, which I should have done. Dotted line there, and your plan. So front elevation, end elevation, and plan using the squares. Very straightforward, and it's just how to start it. It gives you the AB. Let's put this aside for a second, and let's have a look at this, which is 2022's one. So again, in this one, we're given an isometric view, and it says converted into an orthographic third angle projection. In the year before, it gives you an orthographic third angle projection, and now it says produce an isometric. So you can see orthographic projection. Designers use a range of tools, communicate ideas. Fantastic, I'm very happy from. Draw an accurate isometric projection of the component. Use the isometric grid provided, starting with AB from that front corner. Each segment of the grid is equal to 10 millimeters. So before it was centimeters, now it's millimeters. Dimensioning the isometric is not necessary. It's not very common to dimension an isometric drawing. Like obviously here, this is a dimensioned isometric drawing, but when you're drawing it yourself, it's more so people can see what it looks like rather than dimensions. So this one is a little bit more difficult, and I think people find this a little bit more difficult. when we look at what is isometric, which is a pictorial view, we already can see it. This is how we don't normally see things like this because it's not getting smaller in the distance like perspective, but we can understand this more, okay? This one takes a lot more to interpret and understand. So we need to understand what it looks like first. Now, I've done a very quick mock-up on Fusion of this part, which I'm going to open up and show you, and then hopefully that will make things preferably a bit easier and kind of make a little bit more sense. So here is that part that I have drawn up on Fusion. So you can see here as we look straight in at it, okay, if we were to look to the side, that is that side view. If we look at the other side, we'll see we're getting that side view. And if we look at the top, okay, so it's the same view. How the shape actually looks is like this, okay? That's what we're asked to produce in this particular question. And it's just this L-shaped thing here, okay, with another little thing stuck on the side, okay? So let's go back to the drawing and see if we can understand how that looks. So again, we have this face here, okay, which is this part here. So it's projected up. There's our plan. This is the L shape. So as we look down on top of it, we're seeing this surface here as this one. We're seeing this surface here as this, okay? When we look at the side, if we were to look in at this view, third angle means that the right side will be on the right, the left side will be on the left, the top will be on the top, okay? So if we were to look at this, we're seeing this face here, there, we're seeing this face here, there, and we're seeing this side here, okay? And then again, if we were to look in at this side, we're seeing the whole back of it there. So this face here is that face there, okay? And we're seeing that slope that we can see here, there. So again, I'm gonna flick back onto that Fusion. So hopefully it'll make a little bit more sense. Here we are, right? So you see as we're looking at the back. Now again, the hardest part of this question is recognizing and understanding what the actual shape looks like. And again, hopefully in A level, you should be able to work it out from an orthographic drawing anyway. So let's have a go at doing this. So let's put that over to the side. Again, I'm going to use a black marker as opposed to a pencil. So it gives us AB. Now, I don't need to use my 60-degree set square because I've got isometric lines here. You're just going to use those lines, okay? So here, I'm given AB, that point there, that line, which I'm given here already, which is actually this point back here. So it's not up at the front of there. It's that point back there, so the start of the L. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to focus on drawing up that L shape, and then I'll worry about the other part later on. Now, I'm going to do this in pencil because there is going to be lines I won't see afterwards, and I'll come back over with my marker. So from that point, we can see that is 30 plus 20 and 20, which of course is 30 plus 40, which is 70. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. That takes me up to this point back here. So I had this point over and I went back 70. And I'm going to come up now 30 and 20, which of course is 50. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I have this point back here, there. Okay. So again, it's just kind of joining up points, and then I shall come over, as we can see, I'll come over 20 and do a mark. But I'll come over another 20 for my 40. So 1, 2, 1, 2. So that's point there is going to be where that slope comes up and hits. So it's that point right there. Okay. And again, I'm knowing I'm going through this a little bit fast, but you should be able to kind of get the basis of it. And once you understand the shape, able to do it yourself. So I'm going to come down now 30 to get down to this line here. So coming down 1, 2, 3, and you see it connects back to that point there. So what I've done is I've drawn the side of this L shape, ignoring this little extra bit that comes out right now. And let's just finish that off. So again, in isometric, things either go straight up and down, off at 30. Okay, so from that point there, it goes back 40 and up 20, so over 4, up 2, and it joins back. Now, in isometric drawing, remember, there's only 3 ways the lines can go: up and down, off at the side at 30 degrees, off at that side at 30 degrees. So what we're going to do is, at this point here, and I will line this in a few minutes so you can see it a bit more. That point there is this point here in the drawing, so it just goes back, and again, there's only a couple of ways it can go. And we already know it is 30, but you should hopefully be able to see it's starting to kind of make a little bit of sense, because that will be that face there. So see that face there? It's looking down on that face there, this line here. Okay, so that goes up then. And hopefully, again, you could see I didn't even need to measure, because I can see it connects to this one on that line. So let's join that up. And then that one, hopefully you should be able to see that is the kind of square. Well, it's obviously not a square because it's bent out of position because it's at 30 degrees. But that will come up to there and come over to there. So you see the way that's the L shape we want. And now we're just going to draw this little extra part on it, which is sticking out. So we already have that point there up on the top here. We have this point here. Okay. And we are just going to bring that point down. Okay. So remember, from that point there, it was just 20 over. So from there, 20 over. So we're seeing that line there. That's that line that I've just drawn. Okay. And again, it's just going to come out at 30 degrees, out from there, and it is out indeed 20. So 1, 2. Okay, again, there's no other way it can go except back this way. And you see the way you're getting that little edge there. So let's take this corner here now, which is this point down here, that point there, and let's bring it up at the one at the front, which again is going to be up now, this time up to here, up to this line there, is only up 30. So 1, 2, 3. So it's that point there. Okay. Now we have this point and we have this point. We have that point there and we have that point there, because we have it here and we have it here, here, and here. Now we just join them up, and that's where we're getting that angle from. So see, fairly straightforward. It's just joining up the points. The other one is going to be here, and this other one is going to be over 2. There is there. And again, just join that up. Okay, and join that down. That is that shape. Now I'm just going to line in very quickly with my pen, because some of the lines we won't see. I'm not even going to use a ruler. Oh, my marker seems to have run out. Very upsetting and unfortunate for everyone. I've got just a regular pen, which is not as good. So that's that one there. This one here. Now again, we won't see this line at the back because it is hidden. I've drawn it, but I don't need to worry about it. Now, when you're lining in, you should use a ruler. I'm just trying to line in with a pen very quickly. You do not ever need to use a pen in the exam. Don't use a pen ever really when you're doing technical drawing. I'm only using a pen or a marker so you can see it a bit better on the screen. And when you're doing a line, it should be one thick line. I'm just going over a few times, so hopefully you can see it. Okay. And that is that shape there. Again, just using the isometric grid. Now, let's get rid of that, but bring back in that other question, because we were supposed to do dimensions, but I didn't start to dimension anything yet, because I wanted to look at how the dimensions are done on this. Now, obviously, this is not in the same exam. This was the year before, and this was the year after, vice versa. Okay, but how we do dimensioning is there's always a trailing edge. See that there? It's not right up to the edge. There's a trail, so a bit of a break. And our numbers are always written on top of the line coming from the right. So see, from the right. Or as we look straight at it, from the bottom on top. So let's start to add in some dimensions, but in the same way as there. Now that is just how we should be doing our dimensions. according to the British International Standard, BIS, I should say. So a bit of a break. So let's put that more over in the camera so we can see. A bit of a break. There is the line. A bit of a break. There is the line. And then a joining line in between them. Now, when you're doing an arrow, it should be a full dark arrow. See, like that? And then this distance we know is 6. Now, you can write 6 cm, or you should just write somewhere on the page, all dimensions in centimeters. Okay, much like it is often given here, like not the scale, all dimensions in centimeters. Okay, so it's not just a random 6. It is 6, and then you know it is centimeters. So you just need to do dimensions all the way over. So for example, here, a bit of a trail. I don't really care about going over that B. A bit of a trail. The line over. Again, you can just use the grid. Full black arrow, and that is 10. Or it's 10.0, but 10 is fine. Now, let's do a dimension out this way. So, a trail, not exactly touching it, a bit of a gap, and then the line there. Essentially, you need to provide enough measurements so a third party would be able to produce the component. Okay, so that means you need to give enough dimensions that if you gave this to someone, much like in the other question, much like in this question, someone would be able to draw the isometric of it. So now in this way, when I'm looking at the right, it is on top. So here the 6 is on top. Here this is 4. It's on top. It's not on this side. Coming from the right, they're always on top, or coming from this, they're sitting on top of that line with the arrows, so your dimensions. And again, you just need to dimension all of this so you can see all those measurements there and have them. That is those two questions. So there's one of two ways they have come up in the past, that is giving a third angle projection, produce an isometric, or giving an isometric and asked to produce a third angle projection. Hope that it helps, makes a bit of sense. We'll go over some other questions as well, particularly some of the question 7s, which are detection and drawing questions that come up on the exam, the Pearson Edexcel A level.